Welcome to all viewers and dear students to the channel of Dr. Mirza Shahid Beg Educational Channel. Today's topic of our discussion is anti-arrhythmics. We have divided anti-arrhythmic into two parts. Part 1 will be cardiac arrhythmia discussion and part 2 will be the drugs acting in this condition, that is cardiac arrhythmia. So both the parts you will be viewing for this type of the topic, you can say. So we will start with our discussion of cardiac arrhythmia. First we will be having the discussion towards your normal heart and abnormal functioning of the heart. Everybody knows about the heart organ. The heart is a muscular organ about the size of a fist, located just behind and slightly left of the breastbone. The heart pumps blood through the network of arteries and veins called the cardiovascular system. The heart beats about 1 lakh times a day and pumps about 7200 liters, or you can say 1900 gallons of blood. When you sleep also, your heart should beat, or it is beating, you can say. So the heart is having the 4 chambers. The right atrium receive blood from the veins and pump it to the right ventricle. The right ventricle receive the blood from the right atrium and pump it to the lungs, where it is loaded with oxygen. The left atrium receives oxygenated blood from the lungs and pump it to the left ventricle. The left ventricle, the strongest chamber, you can say, pump oxygen rich blood to the rest of the body. The left ventricle vigorously contract, create our blood pressure. As you know, the normal blood pressure of a human being is 120/80, that is systolic and diastolic, you can say. So here the coronary arteries run along the surface of the heart and provide oxygen rich blood to the heart muscles. The wave of nerve tissues also run through the heart, conducting the complex signal that governs the contraction and relaxation surrounding the heart sacs, where the various coverings are there. Okay, so this is a normal information everybody knows about the heart. And your heart, the organ, which is having various type of the disease condition, right from the angina pectoris to the cardiac arrest, you can say. So one of the condition that today we will be discussing is the cardiac arrhythmia. So what happens in this condition? So to know this condition, we are going from the basics, you can say, that how the heart is there, how the parts of the heart, main parts like atrium, right atrium, left ventricle, right ventricle, etc. Because in the cardiac arrhythmia, the whole heart is get involved, and which is having the abnormal condition, you can say. Because in the cardiac arrhythmia, there is the disturbance in the conduction of impulses through the myocardium, as well as there is the disorder of impulse formation, or combination of both, which produces the cardiac arrhythmia. So to understand this, that where the problem arises, we have to know about the things related to the heart also. Now we go towards the heartbeats, because in the arrhythmia the heartbeats gets fluctuated very frequently, and there may be the slower heartbeat or there may be a higher heartbeat, you can say. That will be having the discussion. So the heartbeat, about the heartbeat, you know very well. A healthy heart will normally beat in a steady and coordinated way. It will slow down or speed up depending upon the body needs. The rate at which your heart beat is important because it influences how much blood and oxygen circulate around the body. When the heart rhythm is under normal control, it is referred to as a sinus rhythm. When in the sinus rhythm, the heart's natural pacemaker control the rhythm. The hormones and the nervous system of the body affects this pacemaker and help in determining the heart rate, you can say. The healthy heartbeat can be counted by the number of times the heart beats every minute, you can say. So we call it as a beats per minute during rest. This is known as the resting heart rate. The range of healthy resting heart rate varies between individuals, but the American Heart Association suggests that it is usually between 60 to 100. which is considered as a normal beats per minute, you can say. A fitter person is the lower their resting heart rate becomes. Olympic athletes, for example, will usually have a resting heart rate of less than 60 beats per minute because their hearts are highly efficient. The heart should beat with a regular rhythm consisting of double BPM beats with each spaces in between. A person can measure their heart rate using their pulses. This is a point at which they can feel the heartbeat through the skin. The best location on the body for this are the wrist. You can calculate the pulse, you can say, by holding your wrist, the inside of the elbows also, the side of the neck, and the top of the foot, where you can make the pulse rate, you can say, or you can count the pulse rate also, you can say. So what happens actually in the cardiac arrhythmia? The heart may develop the lower heartbeat, which we called it as a slow heartbeat, you can say less than 60 if it is running in a normal human being. So it will be counted as a bradycardia, the condition we called it as a bradycardia, while slower heart rate is going on, okay, beats per minute. And if it is going too fast, that is beyond the 100, you can say, higher than 100, you can say, where we call this condition as a tachycardia, where your heartbeats per minute is running higher, you can say. So both the possibilities are there in the cardiac arrhythmia. Okay, so we have seen in this the normal heart rate. What should be the normal one? From 60 to 100 we count it as a normal, but when it is running slower, less than 60, it is bradycardia, which is a sort of the cardiac arrhythmia condition, you can say, which is leading to the bradycardia, you can say. Or cardiac arrhythmia may lead to the faster heart rate, you can say, that is higher than 100. So it is called as the tachycardia, you can say. So it may occur of the atrium also, it may occur due to the ventricles also. So we will see the further discussion related to this condition with respect to the ECG of the heart in the normal sinus rhythm. ECG, everybody knows, that is electrocardiogram, okay, which we run by placing the sensors on the chest, you can say, on the heart cells, you can say, and it is recorded on the paper ribbon, and this sort of the graph we get on that paper ribbon, you can say, that is PQRST pattern. So one by one we will see the things, because this is what which is very important, and ECG is a very important tool, you can say, or diagnostic tool, you can say, where you can detect where the person is having arrhythmia, cardiac arrhythmia or not. So for that we should know a slight information regarding this ECG. We called it as a lifeline also. So what is the P stands for, what is the QRS complex, what is the T stands for. So this normal information we will be having, so that we can understand the arrhythmic condition also in the patient, you can say, when you see the lifeline, or you can see the ECG pattern of that cardiac arrhythmic patient, you can say. So here first one, if we take off P wave, okay, the first deflection in the cycle is the P wave, okay. The first part of the P wave represent the right atrium depolarization, okay. The second part of the P wave represent the left atrial depolarization. As both the atria depolarize at roughly the same time, we see a single wave form on the ECG, okay. So normal P value or P wave are smooth and rounded, upright in lead between 0.5 to 2.5 millimeter high, you can say, and 0.12 second or less in width. There is one P wave to every QRS complex. Not all P waves are created equally. Abnormal P waves can occur when the impulse has to travel through an enlarged atria, causing abnormal depolarization of the atria. The P wave may also originate from a location other than the SA node, atria or AV junction. These P waves are called as ectopic and may be positive, negative, small, pointed, flat, wavy or sawtooth in the appearance, you can say. P wave originating from the AV junction are always negative, inverted, and may precede, follow, or hidden in the QRS complex. So this is about the information regarding the P wave. Okay, that is in the normal way, or in the summary type. If you want to remember this, it's a arterial depolarization. Okay, so this is normal one. It is small, you can say the bulge type, you can say, and for every QRS complex one P wave is there. Okay, so if it is having the disturbance, like the negative peak it is coming, or small pointed or sawtooth type of the effect it is occurring in the P wave, you can consider it as due to the disturbance in the cardiac, in the arterial depolarization, you can say. So this is leading to the cardiac arrhythmic condition, you can consider. Okay. Now we go for the QRS complex. What this QRS complex is, if you see in the pattern, the QRS complex is a very pointed one, and it is larger, you can say, the peak in the graph, you can say. So the QRS complex represent depolarization of the left and right ventricles, and is made up of the Q wave, R wave, and S wave. The ventricle depolarization normally trigger concentration of contraction of the ventricle. The QRS is measured from the point where the complex begin to move from the baseline and ends where the last wave of the complex begin to the level out or distinctly changes direction, you can say. Normal duration of the QRS complex is less than 0.11 second, or 3 small boxes in the diagram, if you can see. The QRS complex is much larger than the P wave, as the ventricular depolarization involves a greater muscle mass than that of the atria. Remember, the QRS represent depolarization of both ventricles. However, because the left ventricle has a greater muscle mass than the right ventricle, we generally don't see the deflection from the right ventricle, as it is hidden by the larger left ventricle, you can say. So the QRS complex normally follow each P wave. Many variations exist in the configuration of the QRS complex, and not every QRS complex contain QRS wave, you can say. The shape of the QRS indicate what path the electrical signal took through the ventricles. Whatever the representation variation, it's called the QRS complex. The Q wave, if present, is always a negative deflection. The larger triangular upright waveform is the R wave, and is the first positive deflection following the P wave, you can say. The S wave is a negative waveform following the R wave, you can say. The abnormal QRS complex may be a result of an impulse originating in an ectopic pacemaker. For example, if the impulse originated in the Purkinje fibers or the ventricular myocardium, the QRS is greater than 0.11 second, often 1.16 second or more. The right ventricle enlargement produces an abnormal tall R wave, and the left ventricle enlargement produces an abnormal deep S wave. Other variations in the QRS morphology may be caused by the block in the bundle branches, premature beats, conduction along an accessory pathway, or from an ectopic side in the ventricles. Okay, so here the QRS complex is a very important one, which is representing in a normal way. If you see, it's a ventricular depolarization, both right and left ventricle. So left ventricle predominating the right one, so you see only one peak there. So here the shifting of the QRS complex or variation, okay, so that leads to the abnormal ventricular working, you can consider, which is leading to the cardiac arrhythmia. So this is how you can read out the cardiac arrhythmic condition with respect to the QRS complex also. The last one, that is T wave, represents the ventricular repolarization. The normal T wave begin as a deflection slope upward from the ST segment and ends when the waveform returns to the baseline. Normal T wave are rounded and slightly asymmetrical, positive in the lead 2 and less than 5 millimeter high. The T wave always follow the QRS complex. Abnormal T waves can be tall, peaked, flattened, low, biphasic or inverted. Common cause include myocardial ischemia or myocardial infarction, ischemia, pericarditis, hyperkalemia, bundle branch block, and ventricular enlargement. Okay, so this is the T wave. In common you can refer to as a ventricular repolarization. Okay, so the shifting of this T wave may lead to the various conditions. Even the cardiac arrhythmia condition you can correlate, where the ventricles are not properly repolarizing, you can say, or getting into the resting phase, you can say. So this is the lifeline, the ECG of the heart, PQRS-T complex or waves, you can say. So the shifting of this, any wave may lead to the cardiac arrhythmic condition you can correlate, and it's very important. That is the ECG tool for determining the cardiac arrhythmia. Now we directly go towards the definition of the cardiac arrhythmia. What do you mean by the cardiac arrhythmia, you can say? So here cardiac arrhythmia refers to a group of condition that causes the heart to beat irregular, too slowly or too quickly. So that is a condition which we refer to as a cardiac arrhythmia, you can say, abnormal working of the heart cells. There are several categories of arrhythmia, including bradycardia or the slow heartbeat, tachycardia or a fast heartbeat, irregular heartbeat also known as flutter or fibrillation, early heartbeats or premature contraction. Most arrhythmias are not severe and do not cause complication when it is in the initial stage or to a very low intensity, you can say. They can be covered up with the drugs and they are not having very harmful effect in the body, you can say. But some, however, can increase the risk of stroke or cardiac arrest. When it becomes higher or in intensity, you can say, or the condition become worse, it may lead to the stroke or cardiac arrest also in the human being. The word dysarrhythmia is also sometimes used for the arrhythmic condition, you can say. So that is why many times we also called as anti-dysarrhythmic drugs. Okay, so that is anti-arrhythmic drugs only, you can say. So synonymly, the dysarrhythmia may sometimes be used for the arrhythmic condition, you can say. So this is a condition called as the cardiac arrhythmia. Now we go towards the types of cardiac arrhythmia. As we have seen, the heart's electrical system controls your heartbeat by sending the electrical signals from the top to bottom of the heart. The signal begins in the sinoatrial node, specialized tissue in the right atrium, upper heart chamber, that conducts the electrical activity. The electrical signal travels through the right and left atria, causing them to contract and pump blood into the left ventricle, that is the lower heart chambers. The signal then continues to the ventricles, causing them to contract and pump the blood to the lungs and the body. An arrhythmia occurs when any part of this process is disrupted. Arrhythmia can range from mild and harmless to severe and life-threatening process. Just now we have seen. No matter what type of arrhythmia you have, we offer care, your help to live a healthy life, you can say. But the types of arrhythmia you can classify into three major parts. That is bradycardia, tachycardia, and premature heartbeats. For this is what simplified form of the classification of cardiac arrhythmia. What are the different types, you can say, depending upon which area of the heart is affected or what is happening in the heart, you can say. We divide it into the three major parts: bradycardia, tachycardia, and premature heartbeats. Bradycardia, if you refer, there is a slow heart rhythm causing a heart rate of less than 60 beats per minute. Okay, so there is a slow heart rhythm which may be arises from the diseases in the heart electrical conduction system, including the sinus node dysfunctioning, and even the heart block may lead to the bradycardia, you can say. So sick sinus syndrome, slow heart rhythm due to the abnormal SA node, that is sinoatrial node you can say, or a heart block, a delay or complete block of the electrical impulses as it travel from the SA node to the ventricle. The level of the block or delay may occur in the AV node or His-Purkinje system. The heart may beat irregular and often more slowly you can say. So this is the type of the bradycardia which may be due to the SA node or the conduction block you can consider. Now we go for the tachycardia, which is divided into upper chamber origin, that is supraventricular, it is called supraventricular origin, that is related to the atria you can say, and lower chamber origin, that is ventricular origin you can say. So tachycardia, as we have seen just now, that is faster heart rate more than the 100 beats per minute in the human beings, it is called as tachycardia, and it is divided into two. So first we will take up the upper chamber origin, that is supraventricular origin, the atrial fibrillation. What do you mean by the atrial fibrillation? Okay, these conditions we should know because the drugs which are acting, okay, some drugs are very effective in the supraventricular treatment you can say, some drugs are very effective in the ventricular origin you can say. So we should know what is actually happening in that condition. So atrial fibrillation you can say is the most common type of arrhythmia, abnormal heart rate or rhythm you can say. During atrial fibrillation, the heart's upper chamber atria beats in an irregular pattern, fibrillates, okay, which we called it as a fibrillates. Normally the electrical signal that control the heartbeat begins in an area of the right atrium called the sinoatrial node. The signal travels from the atria to the heart lower chamber ventricle. This electrical pattern causes the heart chambers to contract in a coordinated rhythm that pumps the blood from the atria to the ventricles. In atrial fibrillation, the electrical signal originate in other parts of the atria or in the pulmonary veins, which bring blood from the lungs into the right atrium. The signal spread through the atria in disorganized way, causing it to a fibrillation you can say. So as this erratic electrical signal spreads through the heart, the ventricle also begin to beat rapidly but out of sync with the atria. As a result, the atria cannot properly pump the blood to the ventricle, which in turn cannot pump enough blood to the body. Atrial fibrillation prevents your heart from pumping blood normally. It increases the risk of stroke and can lead to the heart failure. So this is what the atrial fibrillation can do with the body you can say, where there is a disturbance in the atrial contraction or the impulse traveling in the from AV node you can consider. Now we go for the atrial flutter. Atrial flutter is a type of the heartbeat problem arrhythmia that usually causes a fast heart rate. This fast rate is caused by change in the electrical system of your heart. Normally the heart beats in a strong steady rhythm. In an atrial flutter, a problem with the heart electrical system causes the two upper parts of the heart, the right atrium and the left atrium, to flutter or beat very fast. The atrial flutter might be diagnosed using an ECG, that is electrocardiogram you can say. This problem can be dangerous if the heartbeat isn't strong and steady. Blood can collect or pull into the atria, and pulled blood is more likely to form clot. The clot can travel to the brain, block the blood flow and cause a stroke. Over time, atrial flutter can lead to the heart failure also. So atrial flutter is often caused by another heart condition such as coronary artery disease or another heart rhythm problem. It may happen after heart surgery also. So this is how the atrial flutter, okay, you can just see the changes of the heartbeats on the ECG you can say, which may be very dangerous in some condition, like we have seen the clot formation and all that, leading to the blood clot and forming the stroke also you can say. Next we go for the supraventricular tachycardia. It is also called as paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia, PSVT. Rapid regular heartbeat that begins and ends suddenly, okay, so suddenly it rises and suddenly it stops you can say. So that is how the paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia it is called. The last one, Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, a type of PSVT, that is paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia, in which the heart has an extra electrical pathway between the atria and the ventricle, disrupting the time of electrical signal and causing the ventricles to beat too fast. That is how it is called as Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. You can say. So this is regarding the upper chamber or supraventricular origin arrhythmias, you can say. Now we go for the lower chamber arrhythmic condition, that is called as the ventricular origin, you can say. So ventricular fibrillation. Ventricular fibrillation is an extremely rapid heart rhythm occurring in the lower heart chamber, usually at over 300 beats per minute. In addition to being so very rapid, the electrical activation of ventricles does not display a specific and repetitive pattern. Instead, the electrical signal swirls around the heart in a very chaotic manner. The heart muscle cells are activated without any coordination, so that there is no effective heartbeat at all. The heart is often described as quivering, since it does not contract in a meaningful way. As a result, death usually results in 3 to 5 minutes unless the resuscitation is begun. So it's a very critical condition regarding the ventricular fibrillation, you can say, where the heart beats very fast in that condition, you can say. Next is the ventricular tachycardia. Ventricular tachycardia is a rapid heart rhythm occurring from the ventricles. The main pumping function, the rates are most commonly 150 to 250 beats per minute, but ventricular tachycardia may occur at a relatively slow rate such as 110 to 150 beats per minute, sometimes due to medication that slows the ventricular tachycardia or advances the degree of the heart impairment. Ventricular tachycardia may be so rapid that they prevent the heart from effectively beating or pumping the blood to the entire body. This results in loss of blood flow to the vital organs, including the brain, leading to the loss of consciousness, you can say. So this is how the irregular beating or higher beating is called as the ventricular tachycardia, which may lead to the complication in the body also. Long QT syndrome. Long QT syndrome is a rare disorder of the disease electrical system that can lead to a dangerous heart rhythm, fainting, and sudden cardiac arrest. Torsady points a type of the ventricular tachycardia that develops in people with long QT syndrome, an electrical problem that causes the heart to take longer to recharge after each heartbeat, which may lead to the ventricular fibrillation as well as to the sudden death also, you can say. So this is regarding the lower chamber arrhythmia, that is the ventricular arrhythmias, you can say, that is tachycardia which is occurring. Now going on to the premature heartbeat, we divided it into two parts, ectopic arrhythmia and re-entrant arrhythmia. So this is a very important one. About the ectopic arrhythmia, if we talk of, if you see in the diagram, it occurs when the electrical signal spontaneously in a region begins in a region other than the pacemaker and then compete with the normal impulses. There is a generation of formation of ectopic foci at any point. The initiating factor are responsible for formation of the ectopic foci. For example, the adrenergic load, you can say, that is norepinephrine load, you can consider, which is if it increases in some part of the heart cells, you can say. So there is a abnormal conduction pathways started with the ectopic foci, the point at which the impulses are generating other than the pacemaker impulses, you can say. So if in the figure, if you can see, the ectopic foci are there in the green, and they are flowing with the abnormal conduction pathway, you can say, and competing with the red one, which is a normal pathway, or you can say the impulses which is generated by the pacemaker, you can say. So this is the called as the ectopic arrhythmia. Okay, apart from pacemaker impulses, pacemaker electrical impulses, you can say, suddenly at any point in the heart cells, especially in the myocardium, it gets started with the small electrical impulses which are competing with the normal impulses. So this called as the ectopic arrhythmia. The ectopic foci are generated. Reentrant arrhythmia, if you see, it is a type where occurs when the electrical impulses does not die out after firing but continue to circulate and re-excite the heart cells into a depolarization. The result of this re-excitation may be a single premature beat or runs of the ventricular tachycardia. Reentrant arrhythmia are common in the presence of coronary atherosclerosis, you can say. So here in this condition, reentrant, okay, that means the normal pattern is when the pacemaker releases the impulses, it is utilized by each and every cell of the heart cell, you can say, and which produces depolarization and the contraction of the heart is occurring, and it finishes off, or you can use the word as die out, you can say. But when there is any problem in the conduction pathway, you can say, like atherosclerosis, okay, that is a blockage in between and the impulse is diverted towards the other cells, you can say, instead of flowing freely, you can say. So that is a circulation of impulse, okay, it is not dying out, it is circulating in that part of the cell only, you can say. So you can see by the green lines where there is a circulation, local re-entry of the impulses, you can say, or global re-entry also, you can see. That means the whole heart, the impulse is traveling in that, it is not dying out, you can say. So that is leading to the abnormal functioning of the heart cell. So it is called as the re-entrant arrhythmia. So these are the various types of the arrhythmia leading to the bradycardia, tachycardia and the premature heartbeats. So that is what the condition which we can have for the cardiac arrhythmia, understanding the types of cardiac arrhythmia. Now we go for the causes of cardiac arrhythmia. Now why it occurs, okay, why this condition arises in the patient, you can say. So out of this, the main cause is the lifestyle, how the person is living in the world, you can say, right from sleeping pattern to the eating habits, you can say, to the physical activities, the exercise, the stress, etc. All these things count. So a certain condition can lead to or cause an cardiac arrhythmic condition, including diseases. First, the diseases are there. The person, if it is having such type of the diseases, will be more liable for development of the cardiac arrhythmia, like diabetes. Okay, as we see, this disease causes much damage to the body, leading to the nephropathy, to the retinopathy, to the ototoxicity, to the peripheral neuritis, you can say. Even the cardiac arrhythmia can occur. If the person is having diabetes, it's more having chances of developing the cardiac arrhythmia, you can say. Atherosclerosis, just now we have seen one example also, re-entrant arrhythmia, where there is a blockage due to the lipid deposition, you can say, or plaque formation, you can say. So atherosclerosis is also a leading cause. Hyperthyroidism or an overactive thyroid gland, or hypothyroidism or an underactive thyroid gland. So the thyroid also plays a very important role in the development of the cardiac arrhythmia. So this diseases, mainly this type of the diseases, the person is having more chances of developing the cardiac arrhythmia in the later stages of the life, you can say. Next is the heart diseases like congestive heart failure. CHF it is called, where the heart cells are not able to contract properly, or myocardium is not contracting properly, where the elongation of the heart takes place, stretching of the heart cells takes place, etc. So this may lead to the cardiac arrhythmia condition, you can say. Higher blood pressure, of course, when the blood pressure get increases. Many reasons are there for increase in the blood pressure. Day to day life, the salt intake, right from the salt intake to the lipids, to the lipid profile of the body, you can say, or fluid accumulation, as we have seen in the diuretic topic. Most of the students, those who have not seen the diuretic videos, you can see my diuretic video. Complete lecture is there, right from basics to the treatment, you can say. So this is how the high blood pressure leads to the load on the heart, which leads to the cardiac arrhythmia condition. Stress, smoking, alcohol abuse, drinking too much of the coffee, this all things comes under the lifestyle of a person, you can say. Just now we have said about the stress, you can correlate with the adrenergic system, that is norepinephrine. The person who is continuously in the stress or tension, higher level of the norepinephrine is running in that patient, which is affecting the beta 1 receptors on the heart, or load on the heart, you can say. Just now we have seen the ectopic foci are developing, which is leading to the new impulse generation in the heart cells, apart from the pacemaker impulses, you can say. So the stress, smoking, which is containing the nicotine, also alcohol abuse, alcohol is very dangerous to the body. Drinking too much of the coffee, also leading to the condition of the arrhythmia, which is related to the nicotinic content of the body, you can say. Scarring of the heart, often due to the heart attack condition. So when the angina pectoris occur or heart attack occurs, you can say the cells getting affected, cells getting scar, you can say, which lead to the arrhythmic condition. Increased adrenergic outflow, just now we have seen the levels of the norepinephrine, if it is increases or running higher in the patient, is leading to the cardiac arrhythmia condition. Some medication like cardiac glycoside toxicity. As you know, cardiac glycosides are having a narrow therapeutic index drugs, and the toxicity level and the effective level are very close, you can say. The patient has to be monitored, but when the toxicity or the concentration of the drug increases in the body, it may lead to the arrhythmia condition also. Structural changes in the heart, that is myocardial stretching. Of course, just now we have seen in the CHF condition, the stretching occurs, as well as if accident occur or any load on the heart occurs, you can say, it may lead to the stretching of the heart, myocardial stretching, you can say, which lead to the cardiac arrhythmia. So that these are the various possible reasons, you can say, or the causating agents, you can say, for the cardiac arrhythmia, where the patient can develop the cardiac arrhythmia, you can say. Now we go for the symptoms of cardiac arrhythmia. What happens in the cardiac arrhythmia? What symptoms are shown by the patient that you can identify it's a cardiac arrhythmia condition, you can say. So noticeable arrhythmic symptoms may include a fluttering in your chest, the fluttering type, or heart beats faster, you can say. If you put your hand also, you feel that the heart rates are running very fast in the body, you can say. So even the sound is coming from the chest, you can say, if you put your ear or diagnose with the stethoscope, you can say. So fluttering in your chest occurs, a racing heartbeat, tachycardia occurs, slower heartbeat, bradycardia occurs, chest pain is there. Many patients report about the chest pain also, which is leading to the cardiac arrhythmia condition. Shortness of the breath, as your heart cells are not working properly, contractions are not going properly, you can say. So the breathing problem is there due to the you can say the fluctuation of the blood flow to the lungs, you can say. So it is unable to breathe properly also. Other symptoms may include anxiety, fatigue, sweating, weakness, etc. Lightheadedness or dizziness is there due to the blood flow output of the heart gets affected, you can say. So the blood is not reaching to the brain properly. Fainting syndrome, or you can say the fainting, nearly fainting, you can say. So as the blood levels are getting affected, okay, in the body, the blood pressure is affected, you can say hypotension or hypertension may occur in the patient, you can say with leading to the cardiac arrhythmia, you can say, or who is having cardiac arrhythmia condition, the patient may develop such type of the symptoms, you can consider. So these are very critical in sometimes and it has to be treated in a faster manner so that the patient life to be saved from the critical damage to the body, you can consider. Now the diagnosis of cardiac arrhythmia, how you can diagnose. Okay, so there are various diagnostic agents where you can have the cardiac arrhythmia to be detected in the patient, you can say. Like first one is the chest x-ray. This study uses radiation to produce image of your heart and can show whether your heart is enlarged or not, you can say. Next is the coronary angiogram. This catheter based test uses x-ray to display blood flow through the heart arteries, you can say. Next is the echocardiogram, or you can say as echo also. The heart ultrasound uses sound waves to create the detailed image of your heart. We usually perform a transthoracic cardiogram, that is TTE, which capture the image from the several locations on your chest, you can say. The most famous one, which is the best one to detect the cardiac arrhythmia, you can say, is the electrocardiogram, that is ECG. This test uses a monitor with electrodes attached to your body to measure your heart electrical activity for short time. The standard ECG is the best for detecting the persistent arrhythmia. Next is the electrophysiology study. This catheter based test assess serious arrhythmia by recording your heart electrical activity from the inside of the heart, you can consider. Next is the Holter and event monitors. Holter and event monitor, portable ECG monitor, record your heart electrical activity over a longer time to detect intermittent arrhythmia. Holter monitor record continuously for 24 to 48 hours. Event monitors record abnormal activities only when it occurs or for over several weeks also, you can say. Next is the stress test. This test measure your heart electrical activity using an ECG while you are exercising on treadmill or stationary bicycle. Okay. Next is the tilt table testing. This test can help find cause of fainting spells by moving you from a lying down to upright position while on the table. Okay. And the last one is transesophageal echocardiogram, TEE. This type of echo involves an ultrasound probe inserted into the mouth and down the esophagus to provide more detailed images than the TTE, that is transthoracic cardiogram, you can say, echocardiogram, you can say. So this is how there are several tests to detect the cardiac arrhythmia, right from X-ray to the most advanced one, that is transesophageal echocardiogram, which is available. But out of this, ECG, that is electrocardiogram, plays a very important role and specify in the detection of the cardiac arrhythmia, you can say. Now we go for the electrophysiology of the heart cells. It's a very important one to understand the electrophysiology of the heart cells, because the heart cells getting affected, some are contracting, some are relaxing in the cardiac arrhythmia, abnormal working is going on. So what actually is happening in the cell? Because this diagram is so important that the drugs acting at the different phases of the electrophysiology of the heart cell, you can say, is having the mechanism of action related to the electrophysiology. Okay, so here we have divided for our discussion into 4 parts, you can say: phase 0, phase 1 to 3, and phase 4. Okay, phase 0 is a rapid depolarization phase. Phase 1 to 3 is repolarization phase, and phase 4 is the resting potential, you can say. So one by one we can go for the phases for our discussion which is happening in the heart cell, you can say. If you see the diagram, it is on the y-axis millivolts is there, that is the electrical charges or electrical signal is there, and on the x-axis it is time in millisecond. Okay, this is what happening in very instantly in the milliseconds, you can say, and very small charges, right, from minus 90 to 30 it is given in the graph, you can say. And if you see, some numbers are there on the graph. 4, we have started with the 4 steep line to the 0, which is very straight line, you can say, which is going towards the positivity in the y-axis. And then 1, it is having very steep line. Then second point 2, that is having small plateau, and third again having a plateau, you can say, and again it is coming on to the 4th steep line. So this numbers, what does it indicates is the phases of the cell, you can say. As we know, the heart cells contract and relax continuously. When it contract, it eject the blood, which is called as the ventricular contraction or arterial contraction, you can say. And when it gets relaxed, when it is in the relaxation phase, you can say the blood is filling into the heart, you can say. So that is a resting potential or repolarization phase you can consider. Okay, so one by one we can go for understanding these phases and which electrolyte is involved in this phase, so that we can understand the drug mechanism of action also in the further case, you can say. So here the phase 0, okay, we'll be having the discussion. It depicts a normal about this diagram, you can say it depicts a normal cardiac action potential from the Purkinje fiber. The resting cell has a membrane potential of approximately minus 90 millivolt, with the inside of the cell being electronegative relative to the outside of the cell. This is called as transmembrane resting potential. Those who are preparing for the nationalized competitive exams, many questions has already been asked from this figure or from this electrophysiology of the heart cells, you can say. One of the nationalized exam, that is the GATE exam, has already been asked, that is the transmembrane resting potential is dash. Various options were given. It is minus 90 millivolt, which is having the transmembrane resting potential, you can say. So on excitation, the transmembrane potential reverses and the inside of the membrane rapidly becomes positive with respect to the outside of the membrane. On recovery from excitation, the resting potential is restored. Okay, so this is what going on. Okay, depolarization and repolarization which is going on, which is nicely been explained by these phases. So we go for the phase 0. What is this phase 0? If you see in the diagram, it is very sharp increase in the potential, you can say, going from negative to the positivity of the millivolt, you can consider. Okay, during phase 0, the permeability of the membrane for sodium ion increases, and sodium rapidly enters the cell, causing it to become depolarized. So what is happening at the resting phase? The sodium is outside the cell and potassium is inside the cell. But as soon as it gets the impulse from the pacemaker, you can say electrical signal, you can say, the cell electrophysiology get changed. The sodium channel gets open, the fast sodium channel get open, and sodium enters inside the cell, and potassium is going outside the cell. So this is how the positivity inside the cell get increases, which is shown by the figure also, that from negative it is going towards the positive side, you can say. Now phase 1 to 3, that is repolarization phase. See, suddenly the repolarization is not occurring. There is an influence of electrophysiology here, or electrolytes here. The chloride is involved, the potassium is involved, the calcium is involved. So that is why the from 1 it is suddenly going down, which is the chloride influence. So here it results from the ionic shift, which creates an electrochemical and concentration gradient, which reduces the rate of sodium influx but favors the influx of chloride and efflux of potassium. So as soon as the chloride enters in, it is negative, Cl minus. So suddenly there is a downward step, you can say, which is very small. It's not too large, you can say, because small chloride enters here. The plateau phase results from the slow inward movement of the sodium in the phase 0. During this time, there is also an efflux of potassium which balances the influx of calcium, thus resulting in little or no change in the membrane potential. So in number 2, if you see the phase 2 plateau, you can say, so there is small influx of the calcium. So there is a slow decrease, you can say, so there is a bulge there. Phase 3, it is initiated by slowing of calcium influx coupled with the continued efflux of potassium. This continued efflux of potassium from the cell restores the membrane potential to the normal resting level. So slowly, that is phase 3. Slowly that is coming to downward phase, you can say, where it is normalizing and coming on to the phase 4. Phase 4 is the resting potential. During this phase, sodium potassium ATPase pump restores the ion to their proper local concentration. In summary, you can say the action potential is a coordinated sequence of ion movement where sodium initially enters the cell, followed by calcium influx and finally a potassium efflux that returns the cell to its resting state. Several arrhythmic agents exert their effect by altering this ion fluxes, you can say. So this is so important, this phases, phase 0, phase 1, 2, 3 and phase 4 is so important that many drugs that we will learn in the part 2, you can say, that is class 1 drugs, class 2 drugs, class 3 drugs and class 4 drugs, how they interfere with this ionic fluxes, you can say, and produces the correction in the cardiac arrhythmic condition, you can say. So that will be studied in the more detailed manner. So that is the importance of the electrophysiological aspect of the cardiac cell, you can say. So we should know what you mean by this phase 0, that is the sodium influx. Phase 1, 2, 3 is the repolarization phase, you can say, where the influx of sodium, chloride, calcium is occurring, and that is having the plateau form, you can say. And again it is coming into the phase 4, that is the resting potential, where the restoration of the ionic changes takes place, and the heart cell is in the normal resting phase, you can say, where the blood is filling into the heart, you can say. So this is how electrophysiology is important with respect to the mechanism of drug classes also, that we will see in the detailed way in the part 2, you can consider. So we'll stop here for this understanding of the cardiac arrhythmia, which is the critical condition. Sometimes it becomes, you can say, which part is affecting, that also we have seen, you can say. So this abnormal functioning, how it is corrected by the other drugs, I mean the drugs in this condition, you can say. So the class 1, 2, 3, 4 and even the 5 last one, which is a miscellaneous drug, that we will see in the detailed way in the part 2. So for this, you like this video, you share with your all friends for learning the cardiac arrhythmia, you can say. You subscribe to the channel so that you can get the new videos also, educational videos related to increase in your knowledge or preparation of your topics, you can say, or preparation for your exams, you can say, even preparation for your nationalized exam or competitive exams, or even going for the interviews. If you listen to the videos, you will be having more knowledge regarding the points to be extracted from the topic, you can say. And press bell icon so that you can receive all the notifications regarding the videos which are uploaded, and new videos with new topics can be there. So for this, we'll stop here for our discussion. So thank you very much.